Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How are we doing today?
Taylor Horton Tucker. Horton gives a hoot.
Wait, did you just go Dr. Zeus on me?
Yeah. You saw what he did last night.
You know
and
what
Big Drum.
I saw your Los Angeles Lakers pull off their third huge upset in the last 8 nights without LeBron James. I think they're trying to send a message. We don't need the king.
Okay.
We don't need the king?
They did something your Clippers couldn't do, Skip. They did something your Clippers couldn't do.
Well, we welcome LeBron back tonight for the worst team in pro basketball, the Rockets, who are 3.5 games worse than even the Detroit Pistons. Way to go,
He
LeBron.
just needed another day, just another day to rest up. Okay, Shannon, we will get to your Lakers, Skip. I promise you'll have your moment to talk about the king, but we also have full access to Fox's NFL Week 1 schedule for you later on in the show. You are not going to want to miss it. We will have full reaction, but I can't believe I'm doing this, guys. We are beginning again with Tim Tebow. Yes, it is Tebow time, as he is reportedly set to sign a deal with the Jaguars. But not everyone in Jacksonville is happy about it. According to a report yesterday, there are people in the Jaguars building who are not, quote, thrilled about the potential signing. Shannon, what does this tell you? How are you feeling about it now?
Well, I'm really not surprised, and that's why it was a bad idea. And people say, normally teams say we don't want distraction, but it's already become a distraction to some within that locker room, Skip. You know, pro football, pro sports is supposed to be the last bastion, though the only thing that matters is ability. Now, 6 years ago, Tim Tebow walked away from the game of football because he said, you know what? I don't feel I'm getting a fair shake. I'm going to go try my hand at professional baseball. Professional baseball turned their back on him. So he says, you know what? I got a college coach that's not an NFL coach. I'm going to try my hand at pro football at a different position. If Tim Tebow had the ability that Skip Bayless and even Tim Tebow believes he has, he wouldn't be in this position. He would have still been playing quarterback in the National Football League. Or he would have swallowed his pride and said, you know what? Since you guys don't want to give me an opportunity or my ability doesn't allow me to be consistent at the quarterback position, I'm going to switch positions. I'm going to play tight end. I'm going to play H-back. I'm willing to play special teams. But that was beneath him because Tim Tebow could not see himself as anything other than a quarterback. As he said, I quote, my dream was playing quarterback in the NFL. Then all of a sudden, that dream turned into a nightmare after 3 years. He says, well, you know what? I can go pick up a baseball bat. Y'all guys don't even really know how talented I am. You're not that talented, Tim, because if you're as talented as you thought you were, you wouldn't be in this position. Skip, this is why it's a bad idea. You already see the coaches, but this is Urban Meyer. Our good friend Urban Meyer, who worked at Fox for a long period of time, flexing his muscle. That's what he's always done at the University of Florida. I'm going to do it Urban's way. At Ohio State, I'm going to do it Urban's way. That's why he hired the strength and conditioning coach that got relieved of his duty after 20 years at Iowa. I'm Urban Meyer. I'm in total control. This is the only reason that he gave Tim Tebow an opportunity. I'm Urban Meyer. I'm in control. Skip, the guys in the locker room, they would have, if Tim Tebow was coming in and he's going to be a quarterback, he's going to be a backup, maybe. But Skip, nobody's following a third-string tight end that they don't believe gave it a guy. Was the opportunity that he got was not based on ability, but it was based on who you know. Skip, the thing is for me, I'll be upset because I was a 7th-round tight end. What if Dan Reeves would have given somebody that opportunity that he know or a friend of a friend? Shannon Sharpe misses out. Would they say, well, Shannon, you would play special teams? People don't know this, Skip, but I'm going to turn it over to you. All my high school career, I was the long snapper. Every game of my college career, except the last 8 games of my senior year, Skip, I was the long snapper. Yes, believe that. An All-American wide receiver was the long snapper on the punt team, on PAT and field goals. That's what I did. So I played special teams. So when I got to the NFL as a wide receiver, and they said, well, son, we need you to play some special teams also. Okay, what do you want me to play? Can you be a gunner? Can you get down the field and go tackle the punter? Yep. Can you play an L3, run down the field on kickoffs? Yes. Can you block in the front line? Yes. I did all those things, Skip. Tim Tebow, had he been a tight end or had been willing to move the tight end and try it 6 years ago, Skip, I believe people would have been more accepting of this. But because they know he only got this because he's Tim Tebow and because Urban Meyer is flexing his muscle, people are you're going to have resentment. You're going to get pushback, and I'm not surprised.
Nor am I. Because when I read this story last night, I literally laughed out loud. He's back, and he's doing it again. Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
In all my career, my lengthy career of covering sports, all kinds of sports, from Olympics to golf to hockey to baseball to basketball to your sport, the National Football League, I have never, ever seen anything like the Tim Tebow effect.
No.
He is simply, improbably, impossibly the most polarizing player we've ever seen in any sport.
Yes.
And obviously, we have seen players get in huge trouble off the field, off the court. And yet, even though Tim Tebow, to my knowledge, has never been in any kind of trouble, to my knowledge, he's never done anything except wear his religion on his sleeve, but he's never been particularly outspoken. He has worked as hard as he could work to not be controversial. And yet, there's something about this guy that just makes the blood boil. Everybody's blood boil. Everybody has an extremely strong opinion about Tim Tebow. And it crosses racial lines. It crosses political lines. It crosses spiritual lines. Everybody has an opinion because everybody sees this guy as standing for something that maybe even he doesn't want to stand for. He stands for the far right versus the left, or he stands for the conformist versus the nonconformist in the football context. It's one thing after another with Tim Tebow, and it makes people polarize. They go way over here or they go way over here. And it's not surprising to me. Now, remember, this report's just about the building, the hierarchy, the front office, that there are people inside the building who already are not thrilled with the possibility of bringing in Tim Tebow. What's the number one complaint we've heard back to his Florida days? He's too big of a distraction. It's because there's always media backlash to Tim Tebow. Either you think he can play because he's clutch and he does nothing but win, as my music video said back in 2011 on ESPN, all he does is win. Either you think of him in that context, or you think of him as he's a lucky bust who can't throw and is getting jobs and opportunities that many other quarterbacks, especially running quarterbacks, never got. And now we cross the racial line into how many black quarterbacks should have gotten an opportunity that Tim got, because he was obviously a late first-round draft pick. And I get all that. It's so lightning rod. It pushes us way over here, way over here. And I'm sure people in that building who did not experience Tim Tebow the way Urban Meyer did at Florida are losing their minds. Like, what are we doing? Urban hasn't coached a single down in the National Football League, and he's going to bring in 33-year-old Tim Tebow and try to make him a quote-unquote tight end. I've told you, I don't think it's tight end at all. I will be shocked, and I'll eat my words right here in this chair if it happens. I don't think you'll see him a single snap lined up at what you would call, as a Hall of Fame tight end, at tight end. I believe he'll be an H-back. It'll be short yardage, goal line situations where he will be the designated scorer for this team. It'll be some read options, some wildcat types, direct snaps occasionally to him, some jump passes off read options. to wide open tight ends who can catch the ball. I don't know if Tim can catch it or not. I've never really seen him try to catch it. But the point is that Urban Meyer experienced Tim Tebow at the highest level of college football. And even you said yesterday he's, a top 5 all-time college football player?
You definitely can make that argument for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I rattled off all the records that he left in the Southeastern Conference, including passing percentage of completions, that he was 67%. That set the all-time SEC record when he left Florida. And he obviously led the whole conference in career rushing touchdowns scored. We can go on and on. He piled up stat after stat. That last game, Sugar Bowl versus 12-0 Cincinnati, he goes 31 of 35 for 482 yards. And again, all I said was, hey, I'd take him at the bottom of the first round, and if you're willing to run the Urban Meyer college offense, he can win games. No Pro Bowls, but he can win games at the NFL level. And he got a shot finally by default when Kyle Orton went 1-4 to start off that 2011 season in Denver. And all he did was carry your team to the AFC West Championship and beat Ben Roethlisberger and obviously Mike Tomlin in a playoff game at Mile High. But the point was, and what made me laugh out loud last night, Shannon, was it was pretty clear that your man John Elway and then Coach John Fox in Denver, they were rooting against Tim Tebow from the start. So they didn't want anything to do with him either. They threw him into the fire in the 5th game, it will be the 6th game of the season at Miami, just to get it over with, get the Tebow experiment over with so that all the Tebow fans would have to say, well, okay, he can't play, you're right. And they won in overtime. And then you know the rest of the story. He goes 7-4, they win the division. So the point is, he's so polarizing that I'm sure there are people in the organization who not only are not thrilled right now, but they'll be rooting against Tim Tebow to try to get rid of him, get it over with, get him out of our hair. Because if Tim Tebow is in camp with Jacksonville, let alone Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer, but if Tim Tebow is there, will that not be the new center of the NFL universe? Will that team not be covered in ways that maybe even Brady's Tampa team will not be covered in the preseason?
Hey, Skip, if you think about it, the only reason we're talking about Jacksonville now is because of Tim Tebow.
That
so
is
I
correct.
guess, as Jerry Jones would say, any press is good press, Skip. Skip, but I would say this. He is the most polarizing, marginal athlete that we've seen in modern time. And I don't know if you go back 35, 40, 50, 60 years ago, Skip, I don't know if we've ever... Normally, polarization comes from... LeBron James is polarizing, but LeBron James is a historically great athlete. There have been other guys. Floyd Mayweather is polarizing. Conor McGregor, but they're great. Tim Tebow is polarizing, but he's a marginal athlete, Skip. And if you go back further than this and a half. I mean, hell, you've been covering this thing damn near as long as I've been alive, Skip. You know so many, and I don't want to make this a race issue because it's really not. I don't believe this is a race issue, and we can debate that another day in time. But you know so many other black quarterbacks was forced to change positions. They had to move to wide receiver or running back or DB in order to play. Tony Dungy said that he was a quarterback in Minnesota. He and Warren Moon played at the same time as Warren Moon. And he said no one was going to give him an opportunity to play in the NFL. So he had to switch to DB. But what's at work here, Skip? Let's be all the way 100. Let's remove the cloak. Let's remove the veil. Tim Tebow is a straight, white, evangelical male. There are benefits that come along with being that. Let's not poo-poo that issue. Let's try to say like, oh no, that has nothing to do with it. Bull jive. And everybody that's out there that's listening to my voice understands that. There are privileges that come along with that. And Urban Meyer did not have to do this. Urban Meyer, he got Trevor Lawrence. It was the start of something. This is Urban flexing that I'm in total control here, and I'll do what the hell I want, when the hell I want to do it. This makes no sense to me. And I'm going to tell you, the guys in the locker room is going to be looking at Tim Tebow saying, bruh, you're a great person. You're a great man, but you didn't deserve this opportunity. Your ability, nothing you've done warrants you being in this situation. After being away from the game for 9 years, for 6 years, not taking a snap in 9 years, and all of a sudden you get an opportunity to come back at a different position, and our coaching staff, some on the coaching staff, are opening you with open arms, that would have never happened if I didn't list those 4 things that Tim Tebow possessed. So for me, Skip, I don't understand why Urban did it, because he didn't have to do it, because Urban has enough credibility. Trevor Lawrence coming in, and I get Jacksonville has been a downtrodden organization. And Shad Khan, Mr. Khan has turned everything over. He's like, look, this is not my expertise. This is your expertise, Urban, and I'm going to let you have total control. But, Skip, this makes no sense, and I'm not surprised that he's getting pushback in his own building from a lot of his coaches, because it makes no sense to them either.
Okay, what makes no sense to me is that you can dismiss Tim Tebow as a marginal athlete when you have already proclaimed him an all-time top 5 college football player who obviously won a Heisman.
Yes.
And Tebow was forced to go try baseball, and he hadn't played it in 11 years. And at the AA level, which is the toughest level of minor league baseball, loaded with the most prospects, major league bound, he made the all-star team. You cannot dismiss him as marginal when he's able to do 2 sports at that high of a level.
No, he didn't do it. Actually, he did not do it, Skip Bayless. No, if you want to say great athlete, Deion did it at high levels. Bo Jackson did it at high level. Brian Jordan did it at high levels. Tim Tebow did not do it. And that's the arrogance of Tim Tebow, to think because he failed at football, he could go pick up a baseball bat after over a decade and do that. It's even more arrogant on him and Urban Meyer part to think he can be away from the game for 6 years. This is what, Skip, why didn't he try any other team? Why didn't he call anybody else? Because they'd have laughed at him first and then hung the phone up. He went to the very place, the one person that would have given him this opportunity. You know that, Skip.
I don't know that. I think outside the box more than you do. And here's the irony of this discussion. While most people sort of take Tim Tebow over and make him part of the far right, or however you want to say it, the evangelical right. When it comes to the football context, you have to be left to love Tim Tebow. You have to be a liberal thinker to step back and quit thinking meat and potatoes and accept what he can do as opposed to fixating on what he cannot do. The point was that in all those games he started that year in 2011 for the Broncos, in the last 5 minutes of those games, he led the National Football League in my favorite stat, QBR. #1 in the league, because as our man Eric Mangini said in 2011, while on my show on ESPN, he said there's something about Tebow in the last 5 minutes of games, he gets deadly accurate. He does. He gets deadly clutch. He wills the ball to the right guy at the right time in exactly the right spot. And he did it again and again and again. He was not a consistent passer, as you have repeatedly pointed out, but you fixate on the negative. There's no way you can lead the Denver Broncos to a division championship from 1-4 in the hole, dead in the water at 1-4 as a marginal athlete. He is a sensational competitor, and we're going to talk more about this later, but Urban Meyer did talk to Chris Collinsworth yesterday about what he sees now in Tim Tebow, and he was telling his assistant coaches who worked out Tim Tebow, and we'll get deeper into this later, but he said, guys, you don't understand. This guy is the most competitive maniac you're ever going to talk to. That's why Urban said, let's give this a shot, because Urban knows what can happen if you put Tim Tebow in a football game with the game on the line, the biggest plays of the game, the scoring plays, the 3rd and 2 at the 20, or maybe the 4th and goal at the 1. Tim Tebow will make that play. Don't dismiss what he can do, because I've never seen anything like what Tim Tebow can do on a football field if you give him the opportunity. Only one team was forced to give him the opportunity, and it was your team in 2011. And all he did was win. All he did was win a playoff game. You can't dismiss him when he threw for 316 yards and beat Pittsburgh in a playoff game. And if we could just please quickly see the pass that he threw to win the game in overtime to Demaryius Thomas, it's one of the great throws in the history of the National Football League under the circumstances. He never started before. And look at this. He throws a dart to Demaryius, and he's off to the races in overtime. They win the game 29-23, and it shocked the NFL world. He did it. He was the epicenter of the NFL universe at that moment because he's not a marginal athlete. He's an all-time great playmaker in big moments of big games. You saw it all through his college career, and you saw it for 1 year in Denver. And yet he was such a distraction because he creates and detonates such media backlash that once Peyton knocked on the door in Denver, Elway was like, thank you, God. I've got my answer. I can get rid of Tim Tebow. And the rest of the league rejected Tim Tebow after that, in largest part because he was such a media distraction.
Okay. But hold on. But Skip, here's the thing. I can explain the QBR in the last 5 minutes of the game. He and Dak Prescott, empty calories. They're playing prevent defense. You see, if you notice, Dak Prescott in the beginning of the game, the numbers are not the same as when they get behind by 20, when they're down by 24. Well, Tim Tebow accuracy goes when teams start playing prevent defense because they said, okay, let's not give anything cheap and deep. But in the first 55 minutes of the ball game, when everything is condensed and they're playing lights out football, why can't he be that accurate like the last 5 minutes in the first 55 minutes?
Okay, timeout. Dak Prescott is 6-11 in his last 17 starts for my Dallas Cowboys. Tim Tebow went 7-4 that year, and they weren't empty calories because he was throwing passes to pull games out of the fire late against Miami, and you remember Chicago, and you definitely remember the Jets on Thursday night.
He won a game when he completed 3 passes and threw for 30 yards. Okay. Stop this. So in other words, you're saying you take Tim Tebow over Dak Prescott. That's what you just said.
Okay, right now I would in what he's accomplished. He's done it at the highest level. He won a playoff game. Dak has won 1 playoff game, but
exactly.
But Tim Tebow pulled one out of the fire against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home.
Hold on, But you told me that Dak Prescott outgunned Russell Wilson. And we know when we think of Russell Wilson, that's what you told me. Now you're poo-pooing Dak to try to highlight Tim Tebow.
No, I'm not. Remember, that was his first year of starting, Shannon. Dak Prescott's in his, what now? He's going into his 6th season. What are we talking about here? I've seen a lot of Dak Prescott. I've seen a very little of Tim Tebow, and all he did was win. All he did was do it. Like, Dak was a very good college quarterback, but he wasn't the Heisman winner. He was maybe in the race for a little while that junior year, but not this guy. This guy is special.
It was a while ago, but if he really is the most competitive guy, and Urban says it, I trust Urban in a lot of ways, guys.
No mercy.
Well, the Lakers were able to get an overtime win over the Knicks last night, but with no LeBron James. Despite previous reports that LeBron's ankle was feeling better, the 36-year-old sat out another game and now has 3 regular season games left before postseason play begins. So, Shannon, how surprised were you that LeBron, he didn't play last night?
Well, I'm not very surprised at all, Skip, because we knew he wasn't going to play back-to-backs. And if you look at the situation, he's made it abundantly clear. He said, man, I wish we could really have a parade. He was like, man, I can't wait until we drop that banner and we have fans in the building. So I didn't think he was going to play last night for the simple fact, once I found out they're unveiling the banner for the championship season, they're going to have 3,000, 3,500 fans there. It was a no-brainer. Why would he play last night and miss the opportunity to have the unveiling of the banner and play in front of the crowd tonight? Because he was never going to play back-to-back. So for me, I am not surprised at all. It gives him another 24 hours to rest that ankle, to get it even healthier. And so now he plays tonight. And I think they play again when they play Thursday and Thursday and Friday, or Thursday and Saturday. And then the playing games, I think, start May 16th. So it gives him an opportunity to get another 24 hours. So, Skip, I'm really, really not surprised that he didn't play last night, given. And plus, it's the Knicks. We don't worry about no Knicks. Only Michael Rappaport and people in New York are happy about the Knicks. We weren't worried about them. They shot their wad on Sunday beating the Clippers. We knew they couldn't see us. And Big Drum. You see what Big Drum did last night, Skip? You want to change your mind about Drum? But We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that part. Don't do that, Skip. We're going to get to that part in a minute. But I'm not surprised LeBron didn't play, given that it was going to be a back-to-back. And if given the opportunity, a banner unveiling, playing in front of 3,000 fans, or playing last night and not playing tonight and having the banner unveiled. So for me, I'm not surprised at all. But watch what you get tonight. It's worth waiting for. I don't know, Skip. There are a few concerts that I've seen that were worth waiting for. I don't know if you've ever seen Beyonce in concert.
No.
She's worth seeing. It's worth waiting for. Yeah. I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're worth waiting for. So for me, Maxwell, several times, those are concerts worth waiting for. Old Goat James, that performance he about to give you tonight, it was worth waiting for.
You ever see Prince in concert?
Skip, let me tell you the true story. No, Skip, I did not see him in concert.
I saw him three times.
Skip, I was going to go see him. His last performance in Atlanta, but you had to go to the gate to get the tickets because he didn't like scalping and all that kind of thing. And so I didn't get an opportunity to get a ticket, and I was going to buy 2 tickets. But the tickets were $200 at the box office. They wanted $3,500, $5,000 on the open market. And I was like, nah, I'm not paying that. I'll see him next time. 2 weeks later, he was dead. So I never got a chance to see him live.
Sorry about that. I did see Michael Jackson live, and it was all-time great, but it wasn't quite as great as the greatest Prince. I'm just a bigger Prince fan than Michael Jackson. Now back to the topic at hand. Your apologies for your man, LeBron James, no bounds. So now you're saying it was okay for him not to play against the Knicks because he wants to be there in the starting lineup when they raise the banner before maybe 3,000 people tonight.
That is correct.
They have had some fans in the stands before, so it will be the first time they have fans in the stands. But the point is, I tweeted this last week. I said, no way does LeBron James want to try a second comeback this year against the Knicks on a Tuesday night at Staples because the Knicks played knockdown, drag-out defense. I'm still skeptical of their offense, but under Coach Thibodeau, they will bump you, they will grind you, they will play a little bit of football with you, and they did that to the Lakers last night. But in the end, the Knicks turned back into the same old Knicks on offense, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But don't tell me that LeBron said, and again, LeBron's nobody's fool. He's got the highest IQ in basketball. And he said, I don't think I want to subject myself to the Knicks after I got embarrassed by trying to come back against Sacramento, missed the last second shot, and then against Toronto also at home. So he's saying, you know what? The wise move, the shrewdest move would be to wait for Houston. You failed to point out that the Houston Rockets are now by far the worst team in basketball. Do you realize, Shannon, they've not only lost 6 in a row, they've lost 11 of 12. They've lost 43 of their last 48 games. There's no more John Wall this year. There's no Eric Gordon. There's no Avery Bradley. There's no Christian Wood. I don't even recognize what's left of the Houston Rockets.
Son is playing
and LeBron
well.
saying, I think I'm going to play a little bully ball tonight. Way to go, LeBron. I'm proud of you. Way to go, Shannon. I'm proud of you for defending him for not subjecting himself to the Knicks.
Skip, our good friend Kenyon Martin's son is playing really well for the Rockets, though. He's been unbelievable.
Unbelievable? Okay.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable.
Okay, for a while, I thought Kevin Porter Jr., who's from out here at USC, I thought he was unbelievable. He got 50 going back, 2-3 weeks ago against Milwaukee. And now he's been out for a while, and they said he might try to play. Maybe he'll try to play because it's back in his stomping grounds. He's from Seattle, but played at USC. But seriously, is this a threat? Are you proud of LeBron for waiting to come back against the Houston Rockets, who are 3.5 games worse than the Detroit Pistons? The Rockets are 16-53. 16-53.
I don't care if he was coming to come back against the Washington Generals. I just want LeBron James to be healthy. And guess what, Skip? Now, let's switch over. That game last night, did you see that? Now, Caruso goes out. There's no Schroeder. There's no Bron. Caruso goes out early. We really don't have another playmaker, a guy that can make plays for himself and get other guys involved. And so they turned it over. Bogue says, look here, I'm going to turn the ball over to a 20-year-old guy. Now you see why they were unwilling to package Schroeder, KCP and Horton Tucker. They said, nah, we'll give you Schroeder. We'll give you KCP for Kyle Lowry, but you cannot have this young man. And he showed you last night, Skip, he's going to have growing pains. He's 20. He's not a true point guard. He needs to have the ball. He can create for himself. He can create for others. But he's going to have to learn, Skip, on a bounce pass in the lane, I can't throw it that low because that's Andre Drummond. He's 6'10 and a half, almost 300 pounds. He's not as nimble as some of the other guys. Why would you try a half-court pass to Ben McLemore like that's AD or LeBron up under the basket? He'll learn from those things. But if you know, in the overtime, 8 of their 10 points, he got them. 2 threes. And you know, with that first three, it came on a what? An offensive rebound by Big Drum. I told you Drum would be just fine. The way they played last night is awfully encouraging. And you see, we don't send the Suns into a spiral. They went to Phoenix and got their head back, went to a Golden State, got their head bashed in after what we did to them the other night. Skip, I don't know if you noticed, but that song by MC Hammer, Gaining momentum, we gaining at the right time.
By the way, Steph Curry went 1 for 11 from 3 last night, and they still managed to beat Phoenix, as you just pointed out.
Andrew Wiggins went crazy.
And by the way, your man THT had not 5 or 6, he had 7 turnovers last night,
yes.
And you managed to survive because the Knicks turned back into the Knicks. Let me count the ways. The Knicks were up 85-75, low-scoring football type of game. With 7:39 left in the fourth quarter. They're up 10. And somehow they self-destruct and your team whittled away. And I was impressed. You're right. They scratch, they claw, they fight back. And yet the Knicks, off a THT turnover, were up 2 with 31 seconds left. And could we see that possession, please, by the same old Knicks? This is 31 seconds left. They're up 2. All you got to do is Just get a bucket and the game's over. Game's over. Game's going to be over. Game's going to be over. Just get a bucket. Here's Julius on AD. Julius, just get a bucket. Just get a bucket. Just get to the free throw line. Just get to the free throw line. Just take a shot, and it's a shot clock violation. What are you doing? You've got the game in the palms of both your hands, and you do that? What are you doing? And then it gets worse. Because the Lakers come down and your man KC3 tries a 3 from the corner with 5 seconds left. And could we see what happens? He tries a 3 and Wesley Matthews.
And one.
Wesley Matthews, how tall is he? Like 6'3" maybe? He's just standing in the lane, unboxed, and he just lays it back in off the glass. Why was he wide open standing in the lane? Because young R.J. Barrett, who had a terrible game, what was he, 2 for 13 and 0 for 7 from 3? He did not box him out. He will hear about that in today's film session from Coach Thibodeau. You have to box out, what is that, like 6'9" versus 6'3"? You got to box him out. You let a little man stand in the lane and put it back to tie the game? Are you kidding me? I was dumbfounded by that. And by the way, that leads to the overtime. And could we see what happened with 38 seconds left in overtime? They're up 1 again, the Knicks are. And they've got this game. They've got it. And Julius Randle's turned into a star this year. And Julius, you got to get rid of the ball. And he travels with the basketball and gives it back. And then I'll give you credit. Your man, THT, he capitalized. I give you that. He did walk. And here comes THT down at the other end. And he hit a 3. It was a big-time shot. I give you that. LeBron loves him, and he backed up LeBron's love with that shot. And that was the ball game. R.J. Barrett had one last chance to redeem himself. Yep, there's LeBron. And, of course, he's a clutch client, so way to go.
That ain't got nothing to do with it. Stop breaking that up. That ain't got nothing to do with it.
Through the roof. Way to go, THT. And yet, then we came back to the other end. R.J. Barrett has a chance to try to redeem himself.
Whatever.
And he says, okay, I'll try this. And it hit nothing but backboard. Okay, so the Knicks disintegrated. But I will also warn you that also in overtime, with 2 minutes and 33 seconds left, AD had a putback, just a little lay-in. And once again, I look up, and he's limping again. Could we see this? He lays it in, and all of a sudden he's like, oops, I'm limping. He's limping again. It's always something. It's his back. It's his calf. It's maybe his Achilles. And now it's his groin. He is the most fragile player in the NBA. But to his credit, he toughed it out. He gutted it up, and he did finish the game, though he says he might not be able to go against the lowly Rockets tonight. So maybe it will be all LeBron all the time. Maybe LeBron can go for 50 tonight against the Rockets. Congratulations, Skip. Shannon Sharpe.
Skip, you're talking about Julius Randle get a shot up, but you do realize AD is one of the premier defenders in all of basketball.
I give you that.
Oh, and you look at the one, D Rose. You look at Big Drum. Big Drum hedged, showed flash just enough to deter him, and got back on Taj Gibson. So you got to give. There's a reason why we're number one in defensive rating. You said, "Well, I don't know how you're number one. No LeBron, no shooter." We showed you last night. We showed you what we're capable of. And the only reason this game was close is that the Lakers had 20 turnovers and the Knicks had 10. Other than that, we crushed them on the glass. Had more rebounds, more assists, more block shots. The only thing that we shot the ball from the field better, shot the ball from the three-point line better. We just doubled them up in turnovers and let the game stay close. But I know once we got that pressure on them, and that was an and one. D Rose fouled Wesley Matthews too. It should have been an and one in the game. We should have never went to overtime. But let me tell you what's going on with AD, Skip. You do realize he's only been back a little over a week. He went 39 minutes against Portland. He went 41 minutes against Phoenix. He went 43 minutes last night. That's a lot of minutes on a guy that's just coming back, that's just getting his legs. So I'm not surprised that he's struggling. He's having issue with his lower legs. So we probably going to give him the night off. That's why we got Goat James coming back, because we might look. AD, give us all you got. We might need you to go 40, 45 minutes, because King coming home. Hear ye, hear ye.
I don't know if you noticed, but my Clippers last night had another nice big win, and my Clippers over the last 20 games are second in the NBA in points allowed. They are first in three-point shooting, first in free throw shooting, close to first in offensive efficiency on a record-setting pace. And you are about to be in trouble because Rondo was dealing last night.
Hello. Kawhi had 20. Paul George, playoff P, way off P, had 16. Y'all just lost to the Knicks. What about them numbers against the Knicks? Did you see what we did to the Knicks? Minus Caruso, minus Schroeder, minus Goat James. You had your full arsenal and got the brakes beat off you.
Yeah, because we are forced to play at 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon out here in Pacific time. No good, not fair. Let's play at night and see what happens.
Let me ask you a question.
Play you at night.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. What time of day did LeBron get hurt? What time of day was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yep, Saturday afternoon.
Oh, okay. Okay, then. We don't make excuses. We don't make excuses. You can get results or you can have excuses. Now, which one do you want? Results. And the results were, we beat the brakes off the Knicks last night. You lost to the Knicks with your full roster. Now, you know what happens. We see that. So Goat James gonna come back. And Big Drum, I told you, Skip, I say, Skip, just give him time. You have to understand, he gets really no offense run for him in L.A. He had offense run for him in Detroit. He had offense run for him in Cleveland. He's not getting that now, but he on those boards. And you see Norris Noel try to dunk on him. He said, man, you better get that up out of here. I told you. This a hen party, no apple juice allowed.
All I know is Goat wanted no part of them Knicks.
Yeah, he was just making sure he was
we didn't need him.
It's about to get really interesting between you two, Lakers-Clippers discussions. I'll be ready for it. But I do want to discuss Tom Brady, another one that you guys always enjoy. We already know Tom Brady wants to play until he's at least 45. But how much longer after that? Buccaneers GM Jason Light said of Brady on the Rich Eisen show, quote, I told him if he wants to play until he's 50, and he's still playing, and he feels like he can still play, then he can play until he's 50. Shannon, can you see Brady playing until he's 50? I can't even believe I'm asking.
No, I do not see Brady play until he's 50, but Skip, the Buccaneers are saying all the right things. They're saying all the things that Tom wants them to say and want to hear. Tom will allow you to play as long as you want to play and you feel you can play at a very high level and you can protect yourself. We'll let you play. That's something Coach Belichick never did, Skip, in 20-plus years. Coach Belichick's like, I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about the next game. And so Coach Belichick was really never, even though, Skip, you remember Tom Brady was talking about playing to 45. Hell, when damn near when he was 35, 36. Coach Belichick says, I'm not worried about that. I'm getting ready. I'm preparing for a game. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have figured this thing out, Skip. The greater the athlete, the greater the ego. What can I do to appease him? What can I do to stroke his ego? What can I do to make Tom Brady say that, Tom, we want to make sure you're happy. We want you to understand that we appreciate you. How long you want to play? Man, Tom can play till he's 50 if that's when he wants to play. Sure, no problem. And Tom loves hearing that. He says, you know what? I got somebody in my corner. As long as I'm playing at a high level, long as I can protect myself, I'm healthy, no problem. But Tom said, Skip, Tom in a statement says, he's struggling. And a lot of athletes struggle. You've been around a lot of athletes that struggle, Skip, because Tom Brady has been doing this. Tom Brady has had to prepare for football for 35-plus years. Now, Skip, when you remove that, what do I do with that 5 hours of film study? Skip, what did I do with that today? What do I do with the 2 hours of practice? What do I do with the other 7, 8 hours of meeting time? That's gone. So, Skip, 12 hours, 13, 14 hours of my day that I spent over the last 25, 30 years preparing for something is now gone. And Tom is coming to the realization, I might play till I don't believe he's going to play till he's 50. But he says, even if I do play till he's 50, I can't play this forever. Then what do I do? Skip, he doesn't really have any hobbies. He doesn't want to sit around at a desk and talk football. He don't want to do what Troy and Tony Romo does. He don't want to analyze football in that aspect. So he said, what the hell am I going to do in a 24 hours a day when normally 15 of those hours are spoken for? So now, who gets to speak for that 15 hours? Giselle's raising her hand. Me? I'll take 7 of it. Skip, the kids say, hey, Dad, over here. We can go to the park now. I'll take some of it. And then Tom is like, but yeah, guys, I love you guys. I really do. But damn, football has been such a big part of his life, Skip, and a lot of athletes suffer with that. And for me, Skip, I didn't miss the games. I didn't miss being competitive. I'm a competitive sucker, but I didn't miss that. I missed the guys. Skip, I miss being in the locker room. I miss the bus rides. I miss being on the plane. I miss stretching and we telling jokes and laughing. I damn sure, I didn't miss the meetings. That was the one thing that drove me away with the meeting. Tom loves the meetings. That's the difference between he and I. And so, Skip, I think that's what he's struggling with. What the hell am I going to do in a 24-hour day when for the last 25, 30 years, 15 of those hours were spoken for with football?
So, Shannon Sharpe, this was yet another story that last night made me LOL. Because I immediately thought of you, because I immediately thought of the man who didn't think Tom Brady would play past 40, let alone 50. And now he has tortured you for each year that we have been on together here on Undisputed starting September 6th of 2016. It's 5 straight years of Shannon Sharpe saying, that's it, in decline, go home, it's enough. And it's not just you, it's Eric Dickerson here on our show. It's many of the Hall of Fame athletes say, okay, that's enough. Because you can't wrap your brain around a man playing at this high a level at age 43. He just won another Super Bowl, his 7th at age 43. I believe he's going to win his 8th at age 44. We'll talk about how easy the Tampa schedule is in a few minutes here on the show. But the point is, that you're right. Tom Brady is going to go as long as he can go, sort of as long as his heart will let him go, because his desire is still high. He is still jumping out of bed every morning to study tape. It's what drove you away, is what keeps him in the game, because he loves it. He's obsessed with breaking down film, seeing how he can exploit whatever weakness he can see that others can't see on tape. And because of that, because of what you pointed out, that he has some fear, he says, I'm a little fearful of it ending because he's not sure what he's going to do with his competitive self when it ends. Because, yeah, he likes golf, but he doesn't love golf. It has a time and a place in the offseason, but it doesn't have a place during the season. He doesn't want to obsess with it the way your big brother Sterling lives for golf. Right. And Tony Romo, I believe, lives for golf. He scratches his competitive itch on the golf course because I believe Tony actually prioritized golf over football. I think Tony would have been happier being a professional golfer than a professional football player. That's not Tom Brady. No. And yet, the beauty of Tom Brady's sort of second life in Tampa is that for all those years in New England, the chip on his shoulder was number 199. He was a 6th-round pick, just the way you were a 7th-round pick. But he wore that badge of honor. I was a 6th-round pick all through those years in New England. And all of a sudden, the irony here is that his biggest supporter in New England became his biggest motivator in Tampa. And I'm talking about his daddy, Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft obviously treated Tommy like a son, but in the end, he chose Coach Belichick. He rejected Tom Brady. So now Tom's new badge of honor is, I'm a New England reject. And he's going to try to prove Daddy wronger and wronger and wronger in Tampa. So he's got that going for him. His fuse is relit. And I think it was a beautiful thing. I think he needed this to continue on. And he's obviously got a very good team. They've got everybody coming back. Why wouldn't he go on? It wouldn't shock me at all if he's playing when he's 50 years old. I also believe what his father said a few years back to the New York Times, which was, I'm talking about his real father, Tom
Brady
Sr. He said that, I'm afraid they're going to have to put a straitjacket on Tommy and drag him off the field in the end. That may be true, but he's still playing at a high level. And Jason Light's quote was, as long as he wants to play and he's playing the way he's playing now, who am I to say he shouldn't play until 50? Because they would be delighted if he could still play at that level at age 50.
Right, Skip, you hear a lot of guys says, I'm going to play until the wheels fall off. Well, Julian Edelman, the wheels actually fell off. With Tom Brady's like, hey, I just put a new set of tires on, so my wheels are going good. Skip, he seems rejuvenated because I think the monotony and the grind of being in New England and the way they did things, it was always dreary. Yes, winning, but Skip, he's like, you know what? And he said this, Skip, there are other ways that you can win. You can win and have fun. And for the longest time, the only fun that he associated with was winning. But he said, you know what? Practice can be fun. Being the bus rides can be fun. We can have fun, go out, do our job, and win, and it'd be a pleasant place to come to. See, the difference with Tony Romo, Skip, even though now he gets to do golf as much as he wants, but he still breaks down film, which keeps him close to the game.
I agree.
I don't believe Tom Brady wants to do that.
I don't either.
Tom wants to break down film to see how I can expose the defense. How can I carve up this defense on Sunday or Monday and put my team in a position to win? Tony Romo gets his feel by breaking down film and telling people what he believes is going to happen before the play actually happens. So when you've done something for an extremely period of time, Skip, it's hard to all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. Be it doctor, be it whatever the profession is. Obviously, football, Skip, you've been doing football. Tom probably been playing since he's, 9 or 10? So he's always prepared for something in the fall. He did that in high school. He did it in college. Now he's going into year 22. And then all of a sudden, he's going to do that, and he's like, well, what am I going to do for the next 20-plus years? That itch was filled. Something fulfilled those 15 hours, Skip. It's hard. Everybody deals with it in a different way. Some people don't deal with it at all, Skip, and we know a lot of those guys. I was very fortunate. I was able to leave, go to CBS, go out on assignments, talk to guys, be around the game, watch tape, still feel I was a part of the game, even though I wasn't in the game. I don't know if that's something Tom wants to do, Skip, and that's what scares him. He's like, what the hell am I going to do? What do I love as much as I love football? Nothing. My family. I love my family, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Skip. And that was the break. So, when Tom he was fully devoted. Giselle took care of everything, getting his kids ready for school and soccer and ballet, whatever it may be. And then Tom, once the offseason, Tom's full. Now that's me full time. And everybody's like, well, man, I can't wait to retire and spend family time. And then you realize, like, damn,
so,
I got a lot of family time.
That is correct. So to sum this up, here's how I relate to Tom Brady. I have had friends ask me for several years, hey, why don't you wind down and call it a day? You've made some money. Just take it easy.
Right.
You obsess with this show every day. I do because I love it. I would wind down and do what? I love Ernestine. I love Hazel. But I see them enough. They get all the rest of me. But you get the biggest part of me because I live for leaping out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to school you every day on this show. I'm on fire for doing this show. I'm loving it now more than I've ever loved doing this show. So why would I wind down and cut back? Why? And that's what Tom Brady is saying right now. Why?
Skip, that's what I get. People ask me all the time, how much longer you think Skip's going to do this? I say, stop and do what? What the hell is Skip going to do? Do you realize that Skip approaches this? If Skip was a professional athlete, Skip would be Tom Brady. Skip would be Kobe or LeBron or Matt. He would obsess. He obsesses over this. So he's done this. What do you expect Skip to do? Skip doesn't have any hobbies but this.
This is my hobby. It's my life. It's everything.
That's it. That's it.
To your demise.
It's your passion every single day. I love working with you guys, and I also get asked all about the work ethic, and I say these two prepare harder than really anyone I work with every single day going to battle, and I really enjoy it. But, Skip, I don't leap out of bed at 2 a.m. That's something that's probably never going to happen for me. How do you ever get used to that? I don't know. Skip, give me your secrets.
No mercy.
Urban Meyer shared the process of Tim Tebow working out for the Jaguars and how much the 33-year-old impressed the scouts. Urban said the team's coaches initially worked Tebow out before he saw him and said that the potential new tight end was in, quote, incredible shape and looked more like 18 than 33. Scouts also told Meyer that they were extremely impressed with Tebow's ball skills. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
So, in other words, let Urban Meyer tell you, there are a lot of Urban. Just want to give you a little FYI. There are a lot of guys that are competitive, that are in shape, that has actually played tight end before that was in the league. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but there are. Most guys in this league are very, very competitive. You don't get to this level without being competitive. And a lot of guys, if you play that position, they are in shape. So this notion that somehow, and just because you look, hell, I look like I'm in shape and can't play a look of football. No question about that. Yes, people tell me, man, you can still play. I can't, PlayStation. That's it. Just because Tim Tebow is in shape, Skip, doesn't mean that he can play the position of tight end, a position that he's never played. So he's run. I don't think anybody said, well, Tim Tebow don't look like he lifts weights. He looks like he lifts weight. Sometimes I thought he looked like he lifted too much weight because he was too muscle-bound. He was too tight. So for me, Skip, I listen to Urban talk. It seems like it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to make the decision, the executive decision, to sign Tim Tebow. There are a lot of competitive guys. There are a lot of in-shape guys that have actually played the tight end position that's actually looking for a job. And I believe Urban could have given them an opportunity. He chose to give Tim Tebow an opportunity, and that's where we are.
Okay. So, as we talked about when we opened the show today, Tim Tebow, to me, is the most polarizing athlete in the history of sports. And he never really did anything wrong off the field unless you disagree with his religious stance. But remember, he's raised by missionaries, so he's just doing what he's done his whole life. Mm-hmm. But he's never gotten into any trouble that I'm aware of off the field. Yet, he just makes everybody's blood boil because you either think he can contribute as a playmaker or he's just a lucky bust who cannot throw. And as you said earlier, he's a marginal athlete. So the Tebow effect is so powerful right now that even Urban Meyer, a rookie head coach, never coached a single down that counted in the National Football League yet. He's about to. And yet even Urban is tiptoeing here because he won't embrace it and own the story. He's trying to deflect a little bit by saying, well, gee, he's making it like Well, I had to come around on Tim. He's telling Chris Collinsworth that they actually brought in Tebow 3 times to work him out, and that his coaches had to convince Urban, his assistant coaches, that, hey, this guy looks great. He's in the best shape of his life, and his ball skills, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you don't think Urban knows that? You don't think, Shannon, Urban, just own it. It's okay. We know what you and Tebow accomplished in Florida. You went 48-7 together. You won 2 national championships together. He won the Heisman. He set all these SEC career records. We get that. Just own it. Don't try to backpedal from it or tiptoe around it. But the point is that, Shannon, I'm just guessing on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. They're like next door neighbors. I think they live 3 houses down from each other. So you don't think that early on, as soon as Urban moved onto the block, that he didn't invite Tebow and his wife over for a little quick dinner one night?
Yes.
You don't think so?
Of course.
You don't think that the conversation went to, hey, how you feeling? And one thing led to the next. And obviously, I keep pointing out to you, it's not like Tebow's been laying on the couch for the last 6 years. He has been training for the sport of baseball. Different than football, but you know and I know, he's an obsessive weightlifter, and I'm glad you brought it up, to a fault. He got too bulky, too tight, especially for a quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, he was a running quarterback, and you can argue that in 2011 in Denver, he was more running back than quarterback because as a slick ball handler and a nifty runner who can make you miss a little bit, he can get to the edge. I told you, I watched him out here in his baseball showcase at USC right before we started here in 2016. I watched him in the outfield time 4.6 in the 40, which not bad. I think he weighed 240 then. Maybe he weighs a little more now, 245, 250. But he can run a little bit. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson or certainly Michael Vick, but he can run a little bit. So the point was he turned Denver into the #1 rushing attack in all of pro football in 2011 because he can ride and decide. He's really good at running the read option, and he turned Willis McGahee into a 1,200-yard back. But the point is, he lifts weights. He's always going to be in shape. And I don't doubt that he's in the best shape of his life. But it's like Urban presented to Chris Collinsworth, well, I had to try to convince my assistants, too, that you guys don't get it. Because the quote was, hey, guys, you don't understand. This guy, he's the most competitive maniac you're ever going to talk to. So let's give this a shot. Well, yeah, that's what Urban loved about him. That's what Urban showcased in small but dynamic doses when Tebow, right out of high school in Jacksonville, was a freshman at Florida. Chris Leak was a starter. I think it was the blueprint for how he's going to use Tebow this coming year, that we'll use him in small but powerful doses where goal line, short yardage, we'll use him.
I don't know if you want to do that and break the rhythm of a rookie quarterback, young quarterback. I don't know if you want to do that with him in that aspect, especially now if you want to do it at the goal line, Skip, you want to do the Wildcat direct snap to Tim Tebow and he plows his way. But I'd be careful doing that in the middle of on regular down and distance in the middle of the field. Skip, for me, if Tim Tebow requests a workout, it would have been disrespectful for him not to show up in shape. I'm a firm believer, Skip. If God bless you with certain ability, intellect, a body, speed, and for you not to use that and to capitalize on that is disrespectful. It's blasphemous to the man that gave you those gifts. So Tim Tebow was blessed with that body. He's worked on that body. I know Tim Tebow would come in shape. I'm not questioning his work ethic. I'm not questioning how bad he wants something, because most guys, that's why you're at this level, Skip. It's hard for me to say, a guy said, nah, I never dreamed about playing in the NFL. Hell, I just ended up here. I just woke up one morning, I was in college, and the next thing you know, I'm in the NFL. Most guys dream of this, and they prepared a lifetime to be in this moment. So I'm not surprised that Tim Tebow showed up in exceptional shape. But, Skip, there are a lot of guys. Hell, you go to Equinox, I see a lot of guys that are in shape, but I bet they can't play football. And there's I see a lot of guys walking down the street in shape, jogging. They can't play football. So they don't necessarily go hand in hand. There's football shape, and then there's shape that looks good, guy walking around the beach with his shirt off. Those are two different things. But I do believe Tim Tebow was in shape. But, Skip, I believe there are a lot of tight ends that actually play the position of tight end, that's played the tight end position for a number of years, that are in shape that would warrant an opportunity. But this is where we are. I don't think Urban had to talk the coaches into it. Urban talked himself into it because the other coaches was like, I don't know, Urban. Here's a guy, Skip. A guy's trying to make a comeback at the age of 34. Normally, Skip, hell, I retired at 35. He's making a comeback at a different position at 34 after being away for 6 years and not playing a snap in 9.
Okay, but obviously there's no wear and tear on his football body, right? So he's got that going for him.
He ain't got no wear and tear. He had never run a route. So you want him to play Skip. At some point in time, he's going to have to go down the field and catch a route. He might have to catch a flat route. He might have to catch an out route. He got to catch something, a seam. Has he ever caught a pass?
They may swing it to him occasionally, but Shannon, he's not going to line up at traditional tight end and run downfield 20, 30-yard routes. He's not going to do it. I just don't I don't think he's capable of doing it.
So he's going to be like the big fullback in Baltimore, Richard, huh? They just, the 300-pounder, they just dump it to him here and there. If he clean, But Skip, they throw him the ball down the field. He catches some balls.
He does. Yep, I agree. Maybe there'll be a little bit here and there, but there's some Taysom Hill operating here.
Okay.
But again, back to my friend Tom House, who's out here at USC and is the throwing guru for Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and all the best quarterbacks go to Tom House. And Tim Tebow went to Tom House for several off seasons, especially while he was playing in Denver. And I've known Tom since he was the pitching coach of the Texas Rangers, and he would tell me, he said, I promise you, the guy I am tutoring out here, when nobody's around, when it's just him throwing against air, I could line him up with all the best quarterbacks that I tutor, Brady, Brees, all of them. Obviously, Tim's left-handed, but he said you wouldn't be able to see much difference in the throwing motion because he can throw it pure. And he's got a nice arm. It's a pretty big arm, actually. He can cut it loose with some velocity. But to me, what do I remember before he got drafted when I said they should take him bottom of the first round? Somebody should. And he went 25th to Josh McDaniels, then the head coach of the Broncos. What did I see before the draft? He was getting in shape by pulling cars. Do you remember this? He's like, with a rope, I do. He's pulling the car down the street. Well,
and the big tire.
Yeah. And the point is, I think he got so tight, like literally and figuratively, I think that he tried too hard to throw it with a tight weightlifter's body that first year in Denver, and it took him a while to figure out how to throw it because in college he wasn't like that. And again, he left the SEC with the all-time completion percentage record of 67%. Final game against 12-0 Cincinnati. What you can dismiss them all you want, but he went 31 or 35 for 482. Is it superior talent? Is it sort of the Mac Jones effect at Alabama where you just have superior blocking, receiving, running around you?
Skip,
maybe.
Skip, sometimes, Skip, if a little is good, more might be better. I think Tim lifted weights and saw the success that he was having. He said, well, I lifted a little, but if I lift more, I might have more success. And Skip, Tom House, you said Tom House says when it's just me and him around and no one else is around and he's just throwing the ball, you can't tell the difference. Skip, if you look at just God-given ability, most of the quarterbacks are very, very similar. It's their ability to think and to react under duress. That separates them. That separates Tom Brady. That separated Manning. That separates the great is the ability to recall and to react under duress. When you got a big man, when a man's trying to hit you in your mouth, and you know it's chaotic, and sometimes you got to ad lib. That is the difference. And so that's what I think Tebow sometimes, that's what he struggled with, Skip, because like he said, it's just him and nobody, he's just doing it. It's just doing it. It's repetition. But now, Skip, the muscle has memory. The muscle will always go back and do what it remembers and what it feels most comfortable doing. So if you're chicken, if you're scared and you get in a fight, guess what you're going to do? You're going to run. A rabbit is never going to stand and fight because that's not what a rabbit is. But you corner a lion, you corner a tiger, they fight because that's what their instincts tell them to do. Tom Brady instincts, when it's most chaotic, it says, calm down. you've been here so many times before. Bro, you know what you're doing. Yep. Why are you in a hurry? That's what he can do. That's what those guys can do.
No mercy. Looking back at his relationship with Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan revealed one area that Kobe may have had MJ beat in. Jordan said Kobe was a, quote, mentally tough kid, maybe even tougher than I was. What strong words from MJ. Shannon, are you surprised that Jordan said this?
No, because it's Kobe. I don't believe Michael Jordan had any more respect for any other player than he had for Kobe Bryant. And he played against some of the all-time greats. He came up in the 80s with Bird and Magic, Elijah Wan, some of the Barclays, and all those guys, Skip. But I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that he had any more respect for those guys than he had for Kobe Bryant. And he said the reason why he was more mentally tough maybe than he was is because he had to deal with his fans, because everybody thought Kobe was trying to copy. He basically copied every single thing, the way he walked, the way he chewed his gum, he stuck his tongue out of his mouth, he put the little the armband on his elbow, he pulled the knee sleeve down to his calf. He did everything just like Kobe. He just had, just like Michael, he just had hair. So having to deal with that, and I think the thing is, Skip, in order to be a historically great player, transcendent player, you have to be able to compartmentalize, because there's a lot of times that you're dealing with things off the court or off the field or whatever your profession is that no one knows. Only you know. But you got to go out there in your said profession, put that aside for 2 hours, 3 hours, be that great that everybody know you are, and then deal with that at another time, in another place. And Kobe was able to do that. Michael was able to do that, Skip. And so the profound respect that Mike has for Kobe, Skip, is really the only time that he really shows emotion. He broke down when he was trying to, Skip, I remember when he was at Kobe's homegoing, and Mike broke down trying to talk about him. That was the first time that I believe people saw a human side of Michael, with the exception of The Last Dance. And you saw a little bit of that, but this was raw. This was not, give me a cut, okay, give me a minute. This was the outpouring of love, and I can't believe that I'm having to do this today. I'm not supposed to have to do that. And he says he still has the text exchange between his last text exchange between he and Kobe. So I'm not surprised that Mike said this, because we know the profound respect, the profound love, the adoration that Michael has for Kobe Bryant. So nothing that Mike said about Kobe is surprising to me. And Skip, I still have the last exchange that I have with Kobe Bryant when I was talking to him about congratulating on the birth of his new daughter. So, Skip, I'm not surprised that Michael said these things about Kobe.
So, as I read Jackie McMullen's piece on ESPN.com yesterday, I got chills because I did have the good fortune to spend a lot of time around Michael Jordan in Chicago during that 98 Last Dance season. And I didn't know he had this in him. But he has it in him for one man and one man only, the late, great Kobe Bryant. And as he said at Kobe's memorial, this is what Kobe does to me, as he broke down and cried.
Right.
And then he added, even though he can be a pain in the ass. Well, he was a good pain in the ass for Jordan for all those years, because he just drove him crazy, texting, calling, asking questions. How do you do this? How did you do that? Why? Explain. Shooting angles, release points, just relentless obsession with trying to be like Mike, to beat Mike.
Yes.
And to me, the statement that Michael made about he was even mentally, maybe even mentally tougher than I was, in a way, it's Michael, he's giving himself a compliment. I don't want to overstate this, but he's basically saying he was mentally tougher because he was trying to outdo me, and it's virtually impossible, but he came close.
Right.
And Michael has two sons who became sort of marginal college basketball players at UCF. And you know how Michael is. You're either great or you're not. And not that he doesn't love his two sons, but Kobe became his son. It wasn't little brother. It was like a son. He tried to raise him in a basketball sense, and he kept it pretty quiet. Both of them kept it pretty quiet.
They did.
So it was off radar, and it only spilled out at the memorial service. And as you'll see this Saturday when he introduces him, and they obviously put him in the Hall of Fame. But
Skip, before you
go ahead.
Skip, before you go, one other person can generate this kind of emotion out of Michael Jordan, his father. Man. When he talks about his father, that's the only other person that I've ever seen Michael open up, and you see all of a sudden, he's human.
Yep.
He's just not all nothing gets to me. I'm all basketball. He shows a human side. He shows that your man. And for his father and Kobe, Skip, he didn't always have the relationship with Kobe. Skip, you remember in the All-Star game? He called him the little Laker boy.
He did.
He's like, hell, I went passing the ball. I think, hey, you want to shoot it? Go get the rebound yourself. But Kobe was so persistent. Skip, you know how it is, it's like a child and his father. He tugged on his pants long enough. Will you buy me this, Mike? Will you buy me this? Will you buy me this?
Yep.
And pretty soon, Dad breaks down and said, okay, boy, go get it. After a while, Kobe just kept texting him and calling him. And after a while, Michael said, okay, damn. What, Kobe? What?
I agree. And yet, as Jordan said to Jackie McMullen, that he's talking about as he introduces Kobe into the Hall of Fame, that he's going to let his emotions go again. He's not going to guard anymore because it's real. And he said, that's the humanistic side of me, to your point. People tend to forget I do have one. Right. And remember, that was his biggest regret about the documentary, The Last Dance, is that you're seeing that practice, that archive practice footage no one had ever seen before. And he is coming across, you and I went back and forth for days about this, but he was coming across as cutthroat, cold-blooded, you-know-what, as he ridiculed his teammates, sometimes punched his teammates to motivate his teammates. And a lot of people said, God, what a bad guy. And I said, well, that's how he went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs, because that's what he was made of, and it all worked. That was his way of motivating his teammates. Maybe it wouldn't work for anybody else, but it worked for him. Right. But I also think as he rises up in age towards 60 years of age, he starts to think, gee, am I coming across like a really bad guy? Well, maybe to a lot of people. So I think he is relishing the opportunity to, so to speak, let his hair down. Not that he has much to let down, but he's just going to let it fly. Just be real, 100%. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and you're going to get that on Saturday, and I appreciate that.
Skip, for the longest time, Michael Jordan was guarded. Yeah. Remember, he would not do an interview unless he was suited and booted. He was fully dressed, had the earring. So he always was going to be on his best behavior. And it was like, well, damn, does he go to bed in a suit? Because I never see him less than immaculate. So he was so guarded. He was so guarded because he thought that any sign of emotion was a sign of weakness, and he didn't want that. So now, Skip, he's away from the game. It's okay. I think the biggest thing that Michael had is that he never showed vulnerabilities. So now, Skip, showing this emotional side of him, he shows that he's vulnerable. He showed that I am human, and that things that I may have said or you don't think impacts me, they really did. They really does. And I feel what you're feeling right now for Kobe, magnify that times 25, because I knew him in a way you guys didn't. I had one-on-one conversations. And remember, Skip, it was about a thing of tequila that Michael Jordan had sent Kobe. Jordan's brand of tequila that he had sent him. And Kobe said, bro, this thing, you hit it out the park with this one. So he had a very unique relationship, and Mike was willing to let his guard down. Not for many people. Maybe for his family. Dad, for sure, we know because how his dad tragically passed. And Kobe. That's really the only time that we've seen Mike let his guard down.
I agree. So let me hit you with a quick anecdote that I've read in a new book that's coming out by the great Tim Grover, who trained both Jordan and Kobe. Okay. The new book, it's not, I'm reading an advanced copy. It's soon to be out, called Winning. But in it, Tim Grover points out that Kobe actually worked harder, trained harder than Michael ever did, but that Michael trained smarter than Kobe. Like, Michael just got it. Like, I need to do this much, but I don't need to go over there. But Kobe was just relentless in his pursuit of trying to become Jordan. And to do it, he was going to work longer hours, stay in the gym later. Tim writes anecdotes about you'd have to meet Kobe at 3 o'clock in the morning at the gym to get shots up because he was possessed, not obsessed. He was possessed with becoming Jordan. So he's working harder. And I think that's also why Jordan watched this and said, well, he's even mentally tougher than I am because I don't need to be that mentally tough.
And the thing is, but here's the thing. Kobe is looking at it like, hold on. Michael, you trained Michael. And he said, knowing what Michael is, I know he did at least this.
Yeah.
Probably more. So that's why Kobe, so even though Tim was like, bro, you done enough, he's like, Michael would never say this is enough. So that was, see, Skip, when you got that target that's so far in the distance, even though the guy that trained the guy that helped put that target out there is saying one thing, you're like, nah, no. But as we get older, Jordan realized that more is not necessarily better. We don't have to train. We have to train smarter because our bodies can't withstand what it could as we got younger. But Kobe, because he skipped, Jordan wasn't chasing anything. Now everybody has the target. Jordan is the target for everybody moving forward. There was no target for Jordan to chase.
Agreed. He was it.
He's it. So now he's everybody else's. So everybody else said, nah, because I know Jordan. Jordan went hard like this here. Jordan was up at 4. So that's why Kobe had to get up at 3, because he believed Jordan got up at 4. Well, I'm going to get up an hour earlier. Well, Jordan shot 500 shots. Well, I'm getting at least 750. Well, Jordan got in the ice tub for an hour. Man, I'm going under the board. I'm about to be David Blaine. I'm about to go in the water for 2 hours, Skip. That's how Kobe think. That's how competitive they are. And they believed that was going to help them be the ultimate player that they became. And they were absolutely right.
No mercy. Tim Tebow is reportedly making the transition to tight end in Jacksonville, but that's not the first team who wanted Tebow to switch up positions. According to one Saints reporter, Sean Payton reportedly wanted Tebow to sign with New Orleans to be a hybrid option in short yardage situations shortly after his release from the Jets in 2013. So, Shannon, should Tebow have accepted Payton's offer here?
Skip, of course he should have, but at the time that was beneath him. His dreams, his desire was to play quarterback in the National Football League. Although that was the only way that he was going to stay in the league, he was unwilling to do that because, Skip, there is no position that you can play that give you the praise and adulation of playing quarterback in the National Football League. You can be a starting pitcher, you can be a goalie, you can be a point guard. But if you're one of these elite level quarterbacks, it's something that hits different, Skip, because it's so important. So much is hinging on you. And Tim Tebow understood that if I play something else, I'm not going to get the adulation. I can get, Skip, Travis Kelce is the premier tight end. But who they talk about? It's my homeboy. Because you catching it, but somebody got to throw it to you. So we going to get a guy that's going to throw you the ball. We going to give him the credit. But it's amazing what you be willing to do when you have no other options. Skip, my grandma used to put food out on the table for my brother and I, and we look at it like, Grandma, I ain't eat that mess. She said, okay, you do without then. Monday go by, we eat cornflakes. Tuesday go by, cornflakes again. Wednesday, by Thursday, guess what? We eating hog maw and rice. We eating chitlins and rice. Because guess what? Those was the only option. You see what you'll do when you don't have any other options, Skip? He realized that for him to play in the National Football League, his only option was to do what? Try a hybrid position. Be a tight end, fullback, H-back, / get me into the NFL. This is what I'll be willing to do. Skip, before I turn it over to you, I was Prop 48, all the big schools, Texas, Nebraska, Georgia, all of them wanted Shannon Sharpe, Prop 48. Savannah State wanted me. So my brother, Savannah State? I ain't going to Savannah State. He looked at me and said, hey, you think Savannah State beneath you, don't you? You think you too good for Savannah State because you this big guy, All-American this, All-State that. Go to Savannah State. If you don't like it, then you can go. I've already called an Air Force recruiter. I was going to go take the test to go join the Air Force, Skip. He leaves the University of South Carolina, comes and said, nope, you're going to Savannah State for a year. If you don't like it, you can say, I tried it, I didn't like it for a year. Best decision of my life. Tim, we don't know what could have been. Because that's 6 years that you're never going to be able to get back. And time, Skip, they tell me all the time, time is the one thing you can never recapture. Once it's gone, it's gone. And we make the mistake of sometimes of thinking we have so much of it, when you actually don't. Tim Tebow's about to be 34, Skip. So 6 years, he was out of the league. So what if he makes that transition 9 years ago? So 25 years. He says, you know what, I'll try fullback. If it doesn't work, at least I tried it. That's what I did, Skip. I tried Savannah State, loved it. We know how the story turns out. I just wish Tim would have done this 7, 8 years ago. But that's why he didn't do it. It was beneath him to play anything other than quarterback in the National Football League.
Okay, I hear you. I get it. In hindsight, 2020 hindsight, Tim Tebow should have said, yeah, thanks very much, Sean. You're way ahead of the curve. This is what I belong doing. And by the way, the role that Sean Payton described way back when to Tim Tebow is exactly the role I'm describing now that Urban Meyer will use Tim in for the Jacksonville Jaguars at age 33. And that is, Sean's vision was, we'd like to bring you in as hybrid option quarterback to run some short yardage plays for us, maybe as an H-back, sort of hybrid idea of short yardage running situations. Goal line. He
was going to be Taysom Hill before Taysom Hill.
Yes. And obviously Tim was made for that because he is a playmaker. He's an excellent decision maker, especially on ride and decide, on read option. He's very good at that. He may not be the greatest decision maker at dropping straight back in the pocket and reading 1, 2, 3 and finding the most open receiver and hitting him with the most accurate pass. But when you let him run the option, when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and goal, that's what he does best, because I keep telling you, as Urban says, he is a force of competitive nature. You've never seen anything like him, because he will literally run through the brick wall to score the touchdown. So that's the guy you want, because when the stakes are the highest, when the game's on the line, Tebow will make a play for you, and he made thousands of plays for Urban, obviously starting as a freshman at the University of Florida. So I get this. Sean Payton, who's got some offensive genius about him, an outside-the-box thinker, he was way ahead of this curve. I can tell you, though, for a fact, that being rejected by the National Football League as a quarterback back in this day when this was happening tore Tebow's guts out. I've talked to him several times about it. He wouldn't go public with it because it's not what he does. But he was outraged over it because he thought he got rejected to the point of, whatever you want to call it, blackballed, whatever, because he caused media circuses. It started with his religion, just his aura, all those things that we talked about, biggest lightning rod ever. He just divides everybody, and everybody has an extremely strong opinion about Tim Tebow. And he said those opinions finally got him booted out of the National Football League after he did all he could with the few games that he started. He started 16 total games. That's the equivalent of one season in the National Football League as a quarterback. And remember, 3 of those were at the tail end of a bad year the year before, 2010, in Denver, after Josh McDaniels got fired. And he threw for 308 against the Texans in a home game and brought them all the way back, scored from 6 yards out near the buzzer to win it 24-23. Had a big comeback against San Diego in the final game of the season. And then at 1-4 the next year, they throw him into the fire, and you know the rest of the story. People get sick and tired of hearing it. But it was one of the great stories in the history of the league, what he did with that bad Broncos team to bring them back to win the division, #1 rushing attack in the NFL, and they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a home playoff game. It was extraordinary to me, and it was to Tim, because he was realizing his dream. And to not get a chance to start a game for the Jets, to not even be able to make the Eagles and then the Patriots, it ripped him up. Because he couldn't understand it. Like, what more did I need to do in Denver to showcase what I can do at this level? Skip. All he does is win. That was the name of our music video in 2011. So,
happens.
He was so torn up that Sean Payton wants me to be an H-back. Well, yeah, he's going to reject that at that point, because he couldn't understand why somebody didn't want him to be a quarterback, or at least give him the chance to show them he could be a quarterback.
Skip, nobody can see the thing people keep saying is about his religion, about his religion, about his religion. Phillip Rivers is devout in his faith. Drew Brees is devout in his faith. So is Russell Wilson. The difference between the three guys that I mentioned is that they can play. I'm going to use the argument that everybody used when Cap got white ball, is that, Shannon, if he could play, he would have a job. So if you're going to use that argument for Cap and says if he could play, he would have a job, can't we use that? Because Phillip Rivers is very religious. Drew Brees is very religious.
Okay,
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I got it, but time out. Do you remember Tebowing? Do you remember that in 2011?
Yeah.
Because Tim did wear it on his sleeve way more than Phillip or Drew or Russell wore it on their sleeve. He constantly mentioned Bible verses after games. He would thank his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Again, I got no problem with it.
He needed to thank the defense.
Did. Remember when he would kneel and pray and they called it Tebowing after he'd score a touchdown?
Yeah.
So Phillip didn't do that. Drew didn't do that.
No.
Russell doesn't do that.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. While he was thanking God, he should have been thanking the defense. He should have been thanking Matt Prater for kicking 60-yard field goals to when his time expired. But, Skip, here's the thing. At least try it. Go through it and say, you know what, man, this ain't for me. And that's what, Skip, you never know. If you give something a chance, he was unwilling to give it a chance because he, like you said, he felt it was beneath him. Give it a chance. Says, man, you know what, I tried it. They're like, but Tim, why'd you? Man, I tried it. I just couldn't bring my head around it. I tried it. That wasn't for me. My heart wasn't set in it. But now everybody's looking at it like, oh, because you couldn't play quarterback, and now this is your only option. I keep telling you, Skip, give me a guy choices, and I tell you what his options are. Those are his choice. H-back, tight end, hybrid. His choice is to do it now.
Okay, just to demonstrate Tebow's torment over the way he was turned away by the NFL. I interviewed Tim twice during that 2011 run, just the wildest ride of my life. But once via satellite on TV and then once face-to-face. It was after the season was over at the Super Bowl, which was then in Indianapolis.
Right.
But I didn't see him face-to-face on TV until 2014. So this is now 3 years later.
Right.
And he joined us on the show I did on ESPN. And we just talked ball. It was at the week leading up to the college championship game in Dallas that year, 2014. And we had him on for like, I don't know, an hour just talking about the game, talking about the NFL. And when it was over, I was getting ready to leave the site, the remote site in Dallas. And all of a sudden I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I don't know Tim Tebow that well. I've just been around him in TV situations. And it's Tebow. He said, can I talk to you a second? Pulled me aside and he said, why didn't you ask me about whether I want to play quarterback again in the NFL? And I said, well, I didn't know. I thought it was over. I thought that was defunct, that was long ago. And he said, no, it's not. I still want to play. I know I can play, and you should have at least asked me the question of whether I still want to play. Well, it was still tearing him apart 3 years later. So that's why if Sean Payton said, come play H-back for me, there's no way at that point that he was going to do it.
But Skip, but he wasn't going to be exclusive to that. Skip, we see Taysom Hill throw passes. We see him. They throw him passes. We see him. He's the up back on the punt team. We see Taysom Hill in a myriad of formations, in a myriad of positions. So he wasn't going to just be exclusive. You got to trust Sean Payton because at that time, Sean Payton was a Super Bowl winning coach. So I'm going to trust him. Skip, he came up with a system, a scheme that had a 6-foot-tall quarterback throw for the most touchdowns, the most passing yards in NFL history. Now, the touchdown thing has been broken. I'm going to trust a guy like that. I'm going to trust, oh, you did that for him? You got him to do that? Oh, I'm going to trust that you're going to be able to put me in a system that's going to take advantage of what I can do. Yeah, I might not be able to throw the ball 20 times a game to help this team. It might only be 2 throws. It might be a throw, a catch, and a block. But if I can help this team win and I'm still in the NFL, I'll graciously accept that. But, Skip, there are a lot of quarterbacks that the NFL turned their back on before it became really, really in vogue and cool to be a quarterback of this kind of complexion. So Tim Tebow is not the first. If that's what happened, Tim Tebow is not the first quarterback that the NFL is shunned. But I believe it had more to do with his inability to be consistent, his ability to be accurate, and his ability to play that position at a very high level, more so than his religion. Now, maybe some people didn't like his religion. Skip, they're going to find a reason. If some people don't like you, they'll find a host of reasons not to like you. But I believe his religion was the least of the reasons why Tim Tebow was jettisoned from the NFL for 6 years. I believe it had more to do with his ability to play that position and play it well.
Well, he would strongly disagree with you.
No mercy.
Guys, the full NFL schedule is released tonight at 8 Eastern on NFL Network and FS1, but we already have the Week 1 Fox games to share with you. Kick it off at 1 Eastern, the Eagles at the Falcons, at Vikings, at Bengals, 49ers at Lions, and Seahawks at Colts. And then later in the day at 4:25 Eastern, Aaron Rodgers, the Packers, traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. And the team Rodgers was, rumored to possibly land on the Broncos, square off against the Giants. So, Shannon, what intrigues you the most about Fox's late afternoon Week 1 matchups?
Well, Skip, I'm upset that some other network got our big game, the Buccaneers and the Cowboys, so I won't talk about that. That's what I'm really ticked off about, because that was going to be a blockbuster, and it should be on our network. So, Commissioner Goodell, I'm upset with you for taking that game. Shanks, you got to fight harder to make sure we get our good games. Skip, there are two games, the Green Bay, New Orleans, because I want to see what the Saints look like post-Drew Brees. Because for the last, decade plus, we've just penciled, New Orleans going to the playoffs. Drew Brees, Sean Payton, they're going to be high-flying offense. Drew Brees is going to complete 70+% of his passes. He's going to be somewhere 4,000, 5,000 yards. We just automatically assume that the Saints are a playoff contending team. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they look like in the post-Drew Brees era. Also, Skip, I'm looking at the Eagles and Philly. Eagle and the Falcons, because I want to see what Kyle Pitts looks like in this Falcon offense if Julio is still there with Calvin Ridley, and I want to see Jalen Hurts, see what he looks like, because they're giving him some more weapons, Skip, and I want to see how he matures. I want to see what he's going to look like. But another game, Skip, that's going to be I'm looking at is Seattle and Indy, because I want to see what Carson Wentz. He's reunited with the guy that he had his best statistical season. On the Frank Reich. He has a better offensive line. Skip that. They just signed Eric Fisher. They got an outstanding offensive line. They can run the football, and they got weapons. So I want to see how he bounced back, both mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically. Because he was beaten down. His team beat him down. The opposing defenses beat him down. And the fans and even the organization beat him down. So I want to see, Skip, how he bounces back against the Seahawks. But I'm anxious to see Green Bay. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be there, Skip? What does New Orleans look like post-Drew Brees?
So I'm going to focus on just the two late afternoon games on Fox. And it is a beautiful thing that you just point out, because our bets are covered, because I'm pretty sure that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starting Packers quarterback on that opening day. And yet, if he manages to wind up in Denver, we're good, because we've got Denver at Giants, right?
The Giants,
so
correct.
Either way. And by the way, I hope Denver just beats the stuffing out of those sorry Giants on opening day, because we are going to win the NFC East, as in my Dallas Cowboys.
Don't root for the Broncos now. You're not a Bronco fan. Don't root. You got an ulterior motive.
For one game and one game only, but I do not love your chances with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. But speaking of Teddy Bridgewater, it is interesting to me, if you remember a couple of years back.
I do.
The Saints had to go with Teddy Bridgewater, and they went. They were pretty good. They beat my Cowboys 12-10, if you recall, on a Sunday night at New Orleans. But Teddy was really good. They went up and shocked Seattle. Remember, Teddy had a big game. Teddy is a very good National Football League quarterback. He did make a Pro Bowl for Jenny's Vikings once upon a time. Got them in position to win a playoff game at home, and it was the Blair Witch Project, as you recall, that cost you that game. But Teddy can play. I just don't know what your ceiling is. It's still not that high, and I don't love your chances, which is why you've been in the Aaron Rodgers derby from the start.
It's the ceiling. His ceiling is the ceiling in a basement. And you know that's not very high.
No, it's not, but it's better than a basement ceiling. It might be your living room ceiling in a 3-story house, but
No.
So here's the point. I don't know how he pulled this off, but your man, Aaron Bleepin Rodgers, has managed to turn himself back into the biggest gate attraction in pro football. He is the marquee man. He is beyond Tom Brady. I believe even more than Patrick Mahomes right now. The epicenter of the NFL universe revolves around Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how he did it, but my hat is off. I'm in awe of how he deflected all the offseason blame and turned himself back into a sympathetic figure who I think is soon to be getting the biggest contract in NFL history, beyond Dak, beyond Mahomes. And he did so coming off yet another collapse in yet another NFC Championship game, this one at home, to fall to 1-4 in NFC Championship games, 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in those games. And not only did he stink it up, but he lost the game with that sequence, if we could see it again one more time, first and goal at the end with 2 minutes left, and wild high, and then this is to Devontae. That was to Lazard. This is to Devontae, wild high, and then this is the play of the year for the Green Bay Packers. He's got it. All he has to do is keep running to the goal line, and I don't know, they probably win the game. Instead, he throws across his body to a double-covered Devontae at the goal line, who's just suffocated and has no chance of catching the football. And off that, he somehow turns himself back into a sympathetic figure who's being pushed out by Packers management.
He was.
And now he's campaigning to be the permanent host on Jeopardy?
Yep.
Are you kidding? And I think he put that one contestant up to, remember, it was the first night he was the guest host.
Yeah.
In the contestant in Final Jeopardy, wrote his answer to the question was something about whose fault was it on why they kicked the field goal. Well,
whose idea was to kick the field goal?
Whose idea was it? Well, it was his fault. It was Aaron's fault. So that was the real answer. But Aaron made it like, oh, thank you very much for that question, because that is the question, right?
Yeah.
Stop
I would like to know also.
No, you're the question mark, and yet you somehow won. You somehow used all of your media sources, all of your ex-player sources to back the Packers into the corner that they had to drop down and genuflect and kiss your feet and give you this contract to welcome you back and apologize to you and go forward for the next, 3 years with Aaron Rodgers as the Packers quarterback.
We're about to get an extension, 4 years, $200 million, baby. First $50 million man, 4 years, $200 million.
Okay.
That's what Aaron Rodgers is about to get.
And I won't be surprised if he wins back-to-back MVPs and they lose to Brady again in the NFC Championship.
Not happening. Skip, look, you keep bringing it up. We know Aaron did not get the job done in the NFC Championship game. And I'm not looking back at the film, and I said it at the time. I tweeted at the time. Aaron should have stepped through and raised JPP and Ndamukong Suh to the pylon. If they catch you, they catch you. But I'm going to make it a foot race. Now, Skip, they would have needed to got the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to tie it, and I believe they're going for it. You're not going to chance it and lose the game 31-30. So I'm going for the 2 to get the tie. But like you said, the coach decided that, hey, we had 3 cracks at it, and we didn't come close from the 8. I'm taking the field goal. Hopefully our defense can hold. I wouldn't have had as much confidence in the defense as he had given that moment. But I do believe Aaron did not play as well as he needed to play, especially in that moment. Sometimes, Skip, it's not about the game in its entirety. It's about moments in the game. Tom Brady has been able to be the best in moments. He might not always play the best for the entirety of the game, but he's figured it out. If I can be great in this moment or for this time, this length of time, I still have a chance to win. And he's done that better than anybody. And Aaron had an opportunity to be great in a moment, and he wasn't.
So you're saying that Tom Brady is actually Tebow-esque, right? Big in big moments.
First of all, Tom Brady was better than Tebow as a true rookie. You know that, I know that. See, can we not mention Tebow? See, you tell me anytime I mention Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers with Tom Brady, you say it's blasphemous.
It is.
But you just talking about Tebow and Tom Brady.
Okay, we got Tebow in, we got Tom in, we got Aaron Rodgers in. Shannon, you're going to like this. You know, Rodgers has won his last 6 openers. So, you know, he starts well, and that does matter. Don't forget, guys, you can catch the entire NFL schedule release show at 8 Eastern on NFL Network and also right here on FS1.
No mercy.
The Buccaneers will face the Cowboys Week 1, and we'll know Tampa's full schedule tonight at 8 Eastern on NFL Network and FS1. But we do already know their strength of schedule based on opponents they will face. Tom Brady's team comes in with the 4th easiest schedule based on opponents' winning percentage from last season, trailing only the Eagles, Cowboys, and Falcons with easier ones. So, Shannon, can you see 17-0 for Brady and the Bucs?
No, I see 1-0 for certain. I got all the do you want. They got 1-0 for certain. They wanted to make sure, what they try to do sometimes, Jen, is that opening night, they want to make sure you're going to drop the banner, you won the Super Bowl, you know, you drop the banner, you want to make sure you get a cream puff.
Yeah.
And that's what the NFL did. They gave a cream puff in the Cowboys. Start your season again, Skip. That's how you started last year, remember? Over. Oh, why y'all keep starting 0 for 1 in the hole? Now, the strength of schedule, they're playing the NFC East. I mean, look at the Cowboys, the Bears, the Falcons, the Panthers, Washington. Come on, man. The Jets. But they're not going 17-0. You know what? I'll say 13 and 4. Just looking at their schedule, because you know, Skip, we go through this every year. Teams that we think going to be really good end up being like they're not as good as we think they're going to be, and some teams always pops up and rears their head and comes out of nowhere. So I'm gonna say at best I'll go 17 games. I'll go 13-4.
Can you please show me 4 losses on this schedule, the 4th easiest schedule in the National Football League? Please show me 4.
The Rams are going to beat them. The Patriots are going to beat them.
Patriots?
They'll split with the Falcons.
Split
and the Dolphins.
With the Falcons?
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins are going to beat them. Could we please bet 5 cases of dew on that right here, right now? That's at Tampa Bay or Tampa Bay.
I got the Buccaneers going 13-4.
Okay. I got...
You got them going what?
I got 20 cases of dew on Bucs over Dolphins, but that's a whole other story. Okay, I am ready right here, right now to concede that my Dallas Cowboys are going to open with a big, bad L on the road at Tampa Bay. You got me. You're correct. I bet nothing on it. I will bet 100 cases of dew on Tom Brady in that game.
No. I got the Bucs.
Well, you should have the Bucs because they got you all of last year. They won me hundreds of cases of Diet Dew, and they probably will again. Because I got to tell you, I'm looking down the schedule, and I don't think 20-0 is out of the question. I'm talking about 20-0 with 3 playoff wins on top of these 17 games because I'm looking at the home games. Cowboys, Giants, Bills. Bills could be tough, but at home, Dolphins, as I just talked about, and Bears, I don't know, marginally
tough.
tough.
I forgot the Bills. Oh, I changed it. I changed it. Yeah, y'all gonna lose to the Bills. Yeah, y'all lose to the Bills.
Glad I helped you there. Then on the road, Eagles, really? Washington? Well, they already went there and won a playoff game handily. Patriots, you really think Tom Brady's going to lose at Foxborough? Could we please already bet? I'll do 10 cases on Brady at Foxborough.
5.
5? Okay, 5. I'll let you off the hook with 5 on that game.
I want 5. Hold on, Skip. I want 5. I want 5 on the Patriots, and I want 2 on Indy. Indy gonna get y'all 2.
Done. Thank you. Okay, you have to. They go to Indy.
Yep.
I'll give you the Rams. That might be their toughest game on the road. They also get to go to the Jets on the road.
Well, I ain't talking about the Jets. No.
But do you realize? Do you have any concept of what Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is going to do to my Cowboy defense on opening night?
I do know.
Micah Parsons, love him. Great athlete. He's going to be running around like chicken with head cut off at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He's going to have a welcome to the NFL baptism at the hands of the almighty Tom Brady. Just watch.
You know what, Skip Bayless? For the first time, I'm going to be able to sit down and enjoy. I might even have me a beer and enjoy watch Tom Brady put butts in your Cowboy. I get to root for the first time in my life. I root for Tom Brady. Let's go, Tom. Let's go, Tom. Beat the brakes off the Cowboys.
Congratulations. You get to enjoy Tom Brady for one night and one night only against my Cowboys. Now, back to this schedule. If you look hard at this, you say, wait a second. The Bucs brought everybody back, much to your chagrin and shock, because you thought 4 or 5 of the players would bolt for more money. But they didn't.
Yes, they
everybody came back. They even added a player here or there. They are much stronger to me than they were a year ago, because what did Tom say leading up to this past Super Bowl? He said, we will be better next year. Well, obviously, they're going to be better just on repetition, just on continuity, just on knowing each other, and they don't have to prepare through the heart of the pandemic as they did last year with no preseason games and mostly virtual workouts, throwing to each other in a park until they got run out of the park because they're violating pandemic protocol.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, so now game one, they're going to be much more prepared to win game one against my Cowboys. Then we'll see how the rest of the schedule plays out.
50 piece on them.
Hey, you don't think they can sweep the division? They beat Drew Brees at New Orleans in a playoff game. You don't think they can beat Jameis or Taysom?
I ain't worried about Jameis. I want them to put a 50 piece on you with no napkins. I want them to make a mess. No napkins. 50 piece on the Cowboys, Tom. Do this one for me.
He will. No, he will. I already told you. I'm disqualified. I'm out. I concede. it was like a gift from above to Tom Brady, but so is the schedule because, remember, the Bucs don't have to face Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes or Lamar or Russell Wilson or Baker or Kyler. They don't face any of those teams.
We believe, but you do believe, like, the Giants will be much better this year than they were last year. The defense got better. You believe the Giants, with the weapons that they added offensively, the question is Daniel Jones going to be better? No. The Bills are going to be better. Dolphins will be better. The Bears, is it going to be Justin Fields? Does he start by the time they play Tampa? That'll be very interesting. But Indy, the Rams, the Patriots. Oh, and you know Fitzmagic got your number. Fitzmagic, the one guy Tom Brady don't want to see is Fitzmagic. You know what Fitzmagic do to you every time.
Okay,
it doesn't matter where he's
at.
You
have them losing 5 games. I'll bet you 5 more cases they don't lose 5 games. Want to bet?
Can you take it right now?
No, I got 4. I might be off on who they lose to, but they losing 4 games.
Okay, we got time. No mercy. Well, get ready for the biggest season ever with the release of the 2021 NFL schedule tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and NFL Network. Don't miss the first look at the entire 17-game regular season. Plus, starting tonight, fans can purchase single-game tickets at NFL.com/tickets. Oh, we're going to have fans in the stands, and we are ready to play some football. Well, we already know who's playing week 1 on Fox. In the early window of games, the Eagles are at the Falcons, my Vikings at the Bengals. The 49ers are at the Lions, and Russell Wilson and the Seahawks face off against Carson Wentz and the Colts. So, Skip, I start with you here. Which of the 4 early games intrigues you the most?
Shannon Sharpe. My eyes immediately fixated on San Francisco at Detroit. I will say it again.
Okay.
I will not at all be surprised if very young Trey Lance is the opening day starter on the road for your man Kyle Shanahan.
Okay.
I will say it again. I still believe that Trey Lance, who just turned 21 years of age, is the readiest to start of all the rookie quarterbacks because they heaped so much responsibility on him in the 1 year that he did start at North Dakota State. He set his own protections. He called all of his own audibles. They ran a very complex pro-style offense that they marveled at how he just commanded it. I believe that's what won over Kyle Shanahan. He is a film junkie. He is mature beyond his 21 years. They spent 2 first-round picks in the future to go all the way up to number 3 to take either Mac Jones or Trey Lance, and they fell hard for Trey Lance. I know they still have Jimmy G, or at least they do as we speak, but I say throw him into the fire because he can handle the heat. I still say I want to see Trey Lance on opening Sunday on Fox, live national TV, or at least regional TV, at Detroit. And I believe Trey Lance could win that game for San Francisco.
Skip, for me, I'm still looking at Atlanta and the Eagles because I'm interested to see Kyle Pitts in this offense with Julio and Ridley, and how does Arthur Smith offense work in Atlanta, Skip? Because he's going to be remind us King Henry. He's not going to be able to run the ball because we know Arthur Smith offense is really reliant on play action. Well, it's kind of hard to play action, Skip, when you can't run the football. We know when they used to fake that ball in the belly of Derrick Henry, those linebackers and those safeties come screaming downhill because you didn't want that big guy to get ahead of steam. Can you still run a similar style offense when you don't have the running game like he had? So I'm interested to see how this offense worked. And I'm in year 2, Jalen Hurts. He has weapons. Devontae Smith. He has Jalen Reagor back for a second year. I'm anxious to see how much he's improved, Jalen Hurts, from year 1 to year 2. Because, Skip, they could have taken a quarterback here, but they said, no, we believe in this young man, and it shows that they have some level of confidence that he can get the job done. And then Seattle Indy, Skip, Carson Wentz. It's either now or never. If you can't survive, if you can't thrive in this offense, with that offensive line, with that running game, playing behind that defense, with those pass catches you got, bruh, you might need to pull a Tebow. You might need to switch positions. Because, Skip, he won't have it any better than what he got it right there in Indy.
Okay. I'll take Russell for 2 cases right now on the road at Indy.
All right. Deal.
Deal?
Deal.
Thank you. Your man Carson Wentz is going to have a long, hard year getting exposed to Indy.
His name is walking to him for a reason, and you're going to see why.
Wentz.
Okay. Well, Seattle has made the playoffs in 8 of the 9 years since Russell Wilson was drafted. So, they're starting out, they're doing something right there. Don't forget to tune into the entire 2021 NFL schedule release show at 8 Eastern on NFL Network and FS1. And starting at 8 Eastern tonight, single game tickets go on sale at NFL.com/tickets. And, of course, we will react to the full schedule tomorrow.
No mercy.
LeBron didn't make his return from a stiff ankle last night against the Knicks, like reports previously indicated. But tonight may be the night. LeBron reportedly wanted one more day to rest that ankle, but is now targeting tonight's game against the Rockets. So, Shannon, what's LeBron's stat line tonight?
Well, Skip, it's really hard to definitively say because you really don't know how many minutes he's going to play. I don't see him playing much past 30 minutes tonight. So I'll be conservative. I'll say 25, 7, and 7. I don't see him playing much past that. If he was going to play probably his normal allotment of minutes, somewhere between 33 and 35 minutes, I probably would bump that up and say he'd be close to a triple-double. But I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say 25, 7, and 7.
So yesterday, when I thought he was going to play against the Knicks, I thought, okay, 18, 6, and 7. But he ducked the Knicks. Tonight, if he plays against the worst team in pro basketball, the Houston Rockets, without AD, I say LeBron's going to go Russell Westbrook. I'm going to go 35, 13, and 15. 35, 13, and 15 for LeBron James against the pathetic Houston Rockets. Congratulations.
No, I know what you're trying to do. Then if he doesn't put up those stat lines, he can against the pathetic Rockets. Nah, we're going to be conservative. We're not trying to press anybody. We just putting y'all on notice. Y'all see what's going on. You see what it is.
Congratulations. Way to go, LeBron. Smart move.
Volleyball? Okay, so you guys are going to be busy tonight. We're all going to be busy. We're watching the Lakers, LeBron, and then that release tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and NFL Network. Enjoy it. The Herd's on now. Have a good one.